Hello and welcome to the Isles Nation post-game recap of the Islanders 3-2 come from behind win over the Florida Panthers. I'm Pete Truskowski, also known as Isles Nation, and I'm joined today by Matt Cangiani and Harris, the loose cannon Peskin. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well, Pete, but actually it's just loose cannon now. I only go by loose cannon, so yeah.
I'm doing pretty well myself as well.
I apologize for that loose cannon.
It's okay.
But
It's okay.
let's start it off with the Island. Obviously, the Islanders win. That's why we're here. So, the first 40 minutes were probably the worst this team has played all season. They were getting booed off their own home ice, and it looked like the team barely showed up. But now, at the end of it, looking back on it, you might say it was the win of the year, the biggest win of the season. So, overall impressions on the game. Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, it was pretty much 40 minutes of just sleepwalking like they have the past couple of games. Really frustrating. I thought they were going to come out super hard for their return home after beating the Penguins at home the other night, but they really just came back and stormed back in the last 6 minutes. I couldn't believe it. It was amazing for them to come back, but definitely not a performance you want for an overall game.
I don't care what the score sheet says, Pete. We played an absolutely horrendous game today. It was disgusting, and it is reflecting of how this team has been over the past 15 games or so. We might have a good record over that time period, thanks to Bernie Sanders and Burn Nation, but it doesn't make a difference because this team has been complete crap. They are lucky to be in the position that they are in right now, and today's first two periods was a reflection of how they have played over the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks. The fact that we managed to get 3 goals in 3 minutes, that doesn't speak to the overall problem that this team has right now, which is the fact that they are consistently hemmed in their own zone and they can't get out. They just can't get out. I have no idea what the hell happened to this team, but somewhere along the line they forgot how to play hockey and they forgot how to possess the puck. Big problem. Big problem. Huge problem.
You don't buy the narrative that this team has learned how to win hockey games, is what you're saying. You're still worried?
The hell does that even mean?
They're
I
coming
don't know
out,
what that means.
they're coming out in close games and finding a way to win.
Yeah, the Calgary Flames did the same exact thing last year, and the year before that, the Colorado Avalanche did. It doesn't mean anything. It's not sustainable. The team is playing like complete shit. Johnny Boychuk went from playing like an elite first-level defenseman to being a complete, I don't even know what the word is, but he's been pretty bad over the past couple of weeks. They have not played well. It's not a sustainable brand of hockey. They cannot keep this up. It won't work. It just never has worked. There's no reason to suspect that it will.
So you wouldn't consider this the best win of the season?
I would consider it the most exciting one of the season. I mean, I felt like listen, you know me, Pete, and the viewers of Isles Nation have known me. I've been doing podcasts with this group for years now. I've been to hundreds of games. Hundreds. I've been to over 20 games this year at the Barclays. Every single game at the Barclays has felt like a fucking mausoleum. It has felt dead. And this was the first time I felt like I was actually excited to be at that freaking place that I detest. But that doesn't mean that they're playing good hockey. Yes, the Barclays Center was into it for the last 7 minutes of the game, but what about the 53 minutes before that? Where were they? I mean, I can specifically recall going to a Florida Panthers game back in 2013. The Islanders won, I think, 4-1 or something like that. Radek Martinek had a goal from the point, and the Nassau Coliseum, it wasn't even full. It was maybe 15,000 capacity. It was rocking the entire game. That was the first game people started chanting, "We want playoffs." It was nothing like that today. Even on its best day, Barclays can't hold a candle to Nassau.
If the team doesn't give them anything to cheer about, what are the people going to be cheering about? They came out and played like shit. It was awful. You just gotta realize if they're not going to play well, the fans aren't going to be into it.
I completely disagree. I mean, this team has tied. I think this team is currently. I saw Eric Hornick tweet something out. It's either tied or it's on pace to match the best home record for an Islanders team post 1983. So I mean, it's not like the team hasn't played well at home. They played exceedingly well at home. They just. I mean, either the fans suck or the place sucks. I mean, I don't know. I don't think the fans suck because they didn't suck in Nassau, so I guess it's just the place. I don't want to turn this into a Barclays Center. I don't want to complain too much about Barclays Center because that's not really what we're talking. I mean, this was a nice game to be at. It was the first time I actually felt excited to be at the place. It doesn't change the fact that the place sucks.
Do you think it has
hate it.
any correlation?
I hate it.
Do you think there's any correlation with your 2 points that this team isn't as exciting and fun to watch and isn't playing as well as they did last year? Does that correlate with the fan energy? Maybe.
I don't know. I mean,
Definitely
I think
plays a
it does.
factor.
you want
I
to take
think it
this?
does. Because, I mean, last year the Coliseum was rocking, but at the same time, the Islanders were having their best season in over a decade. And this year, one, there's expectations, and two, as your Corsi stats say, this team is not playing the same way they played last year. So if the hockey isn't as exciting and the team isn't performing as well, I mean, it's not hard to see why the place might seem more dead when the team seems more dead.
Yeah, I
But
don't know if I buy that at all. I mean, if you look at a team like the Calgary Flames, that place is last year it was always loud. The Winnipeg Jets, that place is always
you're
loud, no matter
talking about
where.
Canada.
That's Canada. It's not the same thing.
All right. Well, I mean, so what? Because you're saying, as a matter of fact, actually, I would say that the Coliseum might have been the loudest building in the NHL last year. And I think people would actually say they
It
would
was the
agree.
size of my garage.
It's the smallest. It's one of the smallest buildings. It's going to be loud. The Barclays Center is huge.
Of course. Well, I completely agree, but I don't think that people are just. I just think that people aren't as into it when I'm at the Barclays Center. Like I'm sitting there, and I just feel like every single person is just like having a conversation. They might as well be drinking a fucking cup of coffee. The bunch of hipsters that they are. I mean, what the fuck are they doing? Like. Honestly, I swear to God, I posted this picture in group chat. There was a guy on his freaking laptop today at the game. His freaking laptop. What the fuck are you doing on your laptop? Seriously. What the fuck are you looking at a fucking hockey game on your laptop? Give me a fucking break.
All right,
Unbelievable.
we'll get off the Barclays topic here and go back to the game itself. So, I mean, Thomas Greiss played today. Does he play tomorrow?
No, I don't think he could play tomorrow. He played the last 3 games. I really think Berube needs to get in net. We can't have Greiss be all burnt out by the time the playoffs come around. It's important to get Berube in a swing of things as well.
I don't know. I think that Grice is probably, not going to. We don't have to worry about him getting burnt out. I mean, he really hasn't played like a starter would play over the course of this entire season. So I guess if you're looking at it from a perspective, you have a better chance to win on the second day of a back-to-back with your backup goalie because your first one tends to play worse with worse numbers than maybe. But I wouldn't worry too much about him getting burnt out. I mean, I think then first of all, Pete, I was going to say, and I was ready to say this in group chat today. I was ready to say, Thomas Greiss is the greatest goaltender, on this team. He made that freaking save 2 minutes, or about a minute after that second goal went in, after Josh Bailey scored that goal. And I was just thinking to myself, like, it would be so typical for the Islanders to let this one up, right there. But Thomas Greiss comes up humongous. I think he's actually earned that start tomorrow, probably, just because he's come up so big for this team over the course of the entire year.
I mean, I advocated for it from pretty much midpoint of the year. I said everyone wanted to back on the fact that Halak was the number 1 goalie, but
What does that even mean?
the whole team. I mean, the whole time I pretty much just said that Greiss deserves a look with the way he's played, and unfortunately, that decision was made for the Islanders. But anyway, personally, I would think that you'd have to get Berube in because if you're not going to play him on back-to-backs, when are you going to play him? And as Harris said that Greiss might not be burned out because he hasn't played like a starter. But at the same time, he's not used to that workload, so burnout might come quicker for him than a regular starting goalie.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my concern. But who'd you guys think stood out today? I think Casey Cizikas had one of the better games of any forwards. And, of course, Cal Clutterbuck, another huge clutch goal. I mean, other than that, Kyle Poso and Josh Bailey played well.
Oh, my God.
Third period.
Josh Bailey is incredible. He's probably the greatest forward on the team.
Stop trolling him.
I'm just saying.
The loose cannon's trolling.
Yeah, well, I'll say this, though, about Bailey. It seems like, I wasn't in chat, but it seems like every single time someone rails on him. Like, they'll just everyone will rail on him. And I'm sitting at the game, Bailey, you fucking suck. Like, okay, these people hate Josh Bailey, but it's so funny because Josh Bailey will come back and he'll score a humongous goal for the team. I mean, you look at the game in Calgary, he puts it home puts it home in the net to win in overtime. Today, arguably the biggest win of the season, and he basically tied it up himself. He was in the perfect position. I mean, I guess the puck came straight to him, but he still had to put it home. Big, humongous. But I feel like I feel like the one guy that's going to take us, home to the promised land, he's going to win that series, is going to be Josh Bailey. And all of, Isles Nation and everyone else in the entire world is going to eat gigantic crow because of all the shit they've been giving this guy. He's not as bad as they make him out to be. He's not great, but he's not terrible.
The loose cannon is firing off the hot takes. Josh Bailey will lead the Islanders to a series win. You heard it here first, folks.
You've heard it here first. And also, you know what? Josh Bailey is a decent hockey player. There you go. Hot take.
Wow, that is a hot take, definitely right now.
Hot take. Scorching take.
I definitely agree with you, Pete, on the Cizikas. He's probably been in the top 3 or 4 forwards for the last 15 games. He's just been consistent. He shows up every night and he plays well, and hopefully he'll get more ice time with that. I think he played up on the first or second line a couple of times this game, so hopefully he can get some more time on the ice.
All right, I have a question for you guys, and it's starting to get ridiculous at this point. You have the fourth line and you have the first line, which right now is Bailey, Tavares, Oposo, even though it feels like it gets changed every game. But what the hell does this team have to do to get those middle 6 forwards even visible? I mean, Brock Nelson hasn't been good since his hat trick against the Blue Jackets 2.5 months ago. Anders Lee hasn't been good at regular season, hasn't been good at even strength pretty much all year. Ryan Strome's had his head up his ass. Nikolai Kuhlman's had his head up his ass. Shane Prince reminds me of Andy Hilbert. I know Mikhail Grabowski got activated today, but seriously, once again, the middle
reunite the kid line. That's what I want. They played great last year. I think that's really where they need to go again. There was success last year. Why not reunite them and see what we can get going there? Because the middle 2 lines have nothing going right now. We have really nothing to lose.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I think that I don't think Anders Lee has been as bad as you paint. I think he's just gotten a little bit unlucky. But I mean, Nelson's certainly been bad, although he did score against the Rangers, and I don't know what the hell happened to Ryan Strome. But it's a big problem for the team going forward. I mean, what do you do with those players that are basically dragging you down, especially the ones that need contracts? I have no idea. I won't pretend to have the answer to that question. I think that right now, if you could just survive and you could tread water and maybe pick up a point or 2 on the Rags, you might not even need all those lines going right now, because it seems like we've been doing it with 2 to 3 lines the entire season. We've never had all 4 lines going. We haven't put together a streak that we had where basically we had that entire month of November last year. We haven't had something so dominant this season, but I feel like if we got all 4 lines going at the right time, then we would probably have that that dominance that we saw last year. But the problem is you just haven't been able to see anything out of Ryan Strome. He's not giving you anything. Ryan Strome, Brock Nelson. I mean, Brock Nelson's PDO must be above 101 right now. I mean, I haven't looked, but I can't imagine he's playing, 100 PDO hockey, just because I feel like he's not really a great Corsi right now, and he's putting up a ton of goals, or he was at least. Maybe it's gone down and regressed. Who knows? I don't know.
To be fair, I ain't mean to criticize Anders Lee like that. I feel like his goal scoring's been down, but his most impressive play has been on the power play in front of the net. But I think he had a big part in changing this game around today with his hit on Kulikov and then dropping the gloves with Riley Smith. I know Harris isn't a big believer in grit and toughness, but hey, you guys think that was a turning point maybe?
Absolutely, I think that was a turning point. I really think Lee, he hasn't been scoring, but he came into the league, and I don't think anyone really expected him to be that huge scorer he was last year. I think he took everyone by surprise. I think his scoring will hopefully improve, but I think he's more of just a grind in front, screen the goalie, get a couple big hits, maybe get a few small fights. I think he's really the grinder type of guy who gets a couple tip-ins like he's been getting this year. I don't think he's that huge goal scorer that everyone saw last year. I think that was more of an anomaly.
Yeah. You know who'd be a really good center for the fourth line, Pete? Mike Camilleri, right?
Listen. No one except maybe 4 people will get that joke. So I don't know why you're making it right now.
Because I'm unpredictable. That's why you can't predict me. I'm just a loose cannon. No idea. Takes her out of nowhere. No, what I was gonna say was Anders Lee. I think that people say like I respect what you guys say, Matt. Like I agree that he's a in front of the net kind of guy. Like he's obviously a big boy, but I think that for a while now his boards play has been kind of underrated too. Like he has the ability to basically grind it down on the opposition's end and just keep it there. That's something that not many players on our team have. Like I would say that maybe Kyle has that when he goes hard, but other than that, we have a lot of perimeter players. Ryan Strom's a perimeter player. Josh Bailey, as much as I love the guy, is a perimeter player. Even John Tavares, to a certain extent, is a perimeter player. So, I think that Lee brings something to the table in the name of grit and toughness, which has its place that other players don't really bring.
Speaking of perimeter players, Shane Prince seems like a perimeter player. And we also already mentioned Brock Nelson and Nikolai Kuhlman, and Ryan Strome is struggling. So with Mikhail Grabowski activated off injured reserve, I think there's a good chance he gets in the lineup tomorrow in Pittsburgh. Who would you guys sit?
Andy Hilbert.
Andy Hilbert? You mean Shane Prince?
I mean Shane Prince. I mean, honestly, I guess he's a Brooklyn Nets fan. I mean, that's kind of cool, but he's completely useless as a hockey player, or so it seems. Get your takes.
I'd bench Strome. I mean, I really think Strome hasn't done anything recently besides that one goal that hardly even passed the line the other night. But I really think Strome should just maybe sit a game, and we'll see where it goes from there. Hopefully that'll wake him up.
Yeah. I mean, I think the problem with benching Strome is that Strome was benched for the beginning portion of the season. I mean, he went to Bridgeport. He came back and didn't really do shit after that. So I don't really know what the problem is with Ryan Strome. I don't know what the problem is, with a lot of these guys, but they're clearly not playing as well as they did last year. And that actually might fall on Capuano. I mean, who the hell knows? But when you look at the regression that this team has seen, maybe a lot of it is due in part to Lubo not being on the team. I mean, he basically lost the top 4 defensemen, and then Johnny Boychuk has kind of regressed a little bit. So that's kind of another loss of a top 4 defenseman. So what do you have after that? You've got Nick Leddy is your only other top 4. Then Travis Hamonic has picked this game up a lot. DeHaan's been injured often. But after that, the defense kind of thins out a little bit. I mean, Thomas Hickey is a 5'6". Brian Strait's complete trash. I don't know. Big problems here with the team regressing, and I would say that Ryan Strome, has been at the front and center of it, along with half the team. So I don't know how to start him, but I would think long and hard about pointing a finger at Capuano.
So any other takeaways from today's game or things you're looking forward to against the Penguins tomorrow?
I think that Jack Capuano might wear the same tie.
Yeah, is that so?
Yeah.
What? Did you take acid before this?
Oh God. I think. I honestly, I'd be curious to see what lines we'll start out with. I think that I'd almost be inclined to start with JT on the left side of Franz. Like I think that worked well. Making that switch in the game. I think that you might actually see that, which would be odd because I can't remember the last time John Tavares started the game. Has he ever started the game at left wing, Pete? I don't think he has.
With the Islanders, no. I know he played it for the Olympic team.
Yeah, and he played with it in Switzerland when he was with Mark Streit's team, right? But I don't think that I don't think he's ever played on the left wing. I don't think he's ever started a game on left wing for the New York Islanders. So I think I'd be really interested to see how that. And to be honest with you, he could. Maybe it's not such a bad thing because, I think in terms of being a center, you got to have a little bit more mobility, and Johnny just hasn't had as much as Franz has this year. I mean, Franz has been an outstanding player this year. He's having one of his best years, I would say, other than 2013 or 2014. He's been incredible. So who knows? Maybe you do that. Put him with Franz. Two best forwards on the team, I think.
I'm interested to see who plays in goal tomorrow. I think that's a really big storyline. I think if Grice is in net, we'll get the same thing we've been getting every night, where he comes out there, he's got that awesome poke check that we saw a couple times, and he plays outstanding, and just hopefully the team in front of him will be able to play well. And if Berube ends up in net, which I think he probably will, I think the offense and the defense really need to step it up, and we need to play a full 60 minutes and actually score a few goals without the pressure of coming back.
Let me ask you a question, Pete. What do you
Yeah.
think about Quentin Howden?
Quentin Howden, oh man, he would be a great fit on this team. If I was building a franchise, I'd pick him to build
Love
around.
this kid. Incredible kid. Dan Freeman really can pick a good one, can he?
Yeah, I mean, he single-handedly turned the game in the Islanders' favor with that turnover on the Oposo goal.
Do you want to hear my lineup that I made for Dan Freeman for the article I haven't posted yet?
No, not right now, Harris. I highly doubt anyone listening to this wants to hear that either. So that'll do it for us here. After once we get off the air, Harris will continue to treat us to his lunacy. But yeah, the Islanders with a big come-from-behind win over the Florida Panthers today, and the Islanders face the Pittsburgh Penguins on Tuesday night. So we'll be back tomorrow night with a recap. It'll probably be me, Mike, and Carrie, the A-team.
Oh.
Ouch.
You guys
to the hook.
All right, whatever. Thanks for listening, and let's go Islanders.